Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. You might be following along with me with the budgeting stuff, so I just want to welcome you to my mid-month budget check-in for March. You may have watched a video previous to this, which was my March budget overview, and looking at the numbers, I was going to be in the negative if we actually put all the money towards savings that we wanted to, put all the money towards the categories that we like to, we would have liked to put towards all of them, but the ones that we foresee needing to come up, and we were going to come up short. So it is my goal throughout the month that we don't end up coming up short, and we really watch what we spend. So what I'm trying to do this month so we don't come up short is to save money in some places that I have control over, like our groceries and our family fun spending, stuff like that. Because we have baseball coming up, we have things coming up seasonally with Easter and stuff, summer's coming up, we really need to start thinking about those things. So right now I'm just updating my expense tracker, making sure that everything we have spent so far, I have written into the expense tracker, and I'm also logging the bills that have come out so far this month. The check mark on the right side is going to identify that it has come out of my bank. The check mark on the left side of a purchase is showing that I have put that somewhere, whether it's on a bill tracker or I have accounted for it right there on our category tracker, something. It needs to be accounted for somewhere, because if I don't have a check mark on the left side, there's most likely a really big reason that we have not tracked it or are not needing to track it. But every expense, or I should say every purchase that we make, ends up being accounted for somewhere. So that's what I'm doing here, just updating my weekly expense tracker, making sure everything's accounted for and that everything has come out of the bank. I'm also looking, you don't see this, but I'm looking on my computer at my bank account, just seeing what's come out since the last time I have checked my bank account, and making sure that I have everything written here as well. So now I'm just double checking that I have checked things off on the bill tracker, checking it off here, and you're going to see me right there put a big dot next to basically the last purchase that in this moment I have seen come out of my bank. So that's what tells me it's the last purchase that has come out of my bank, and next time I go in to do the tracking, I will know when I look at my bank statement online that I will go and find that purchase and go from there. So that way I don't get lost in where I've tracked and where I haven't. So if you track similar to this, or if you use a bank register, that's something I suggest, is easily showing yourself where you've checked or logged last. So now I'm just balancing, and I must mention the X's are for either fixed, variable, or subscription bills that I have already accounted for in the beginning of the month. I just like to take it out of my account right away, so that way I can balance, knowing that I have thought of those amounts already. Which is why you show us in the negative. I also want to explain that even though we show in the negative there, it's just the order that I've put this in. We already had transferred it from our savings. As you can tell, these are not in date order. It's just what I can log, and I try to put the right date there, and it just goes back and forth. It's not in date order. But yeah, I know that we have the money in there. I can see, and when I log into my bank, that the money's there. Plus we also have a balance for all of these category funds, and I know that they are covered. It's just me making sure that we have a balance written there, and I can kind of compare the balance here to the balances that we have for everything that we have in our category balances. So I'm saying balances a lot, but that's basically how I know we have plenty of money. It's just I don't ever really want to show a negative balance on the expense tracker, but it is what it is. And I know that we actually do have money in the account. It's just not quite even with our expense tracker and our category funds. So now I'm just double checking and making sure that everything is checked off on our category funds and that I have just everything logged. At this point in the month, I think it's a really good idea to check your categories, check where you're spending your money for the month, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm checking to see what all have we spent our money on. You know, our category funds are spending money, things that we know are going to come up on a monthly basis, whether it's things that we need or fun money, whatever it is. And I'm just double checking and making sure that we are not overspending in a certain category, because again, I'm trying to make sure that we do not go in the negative or don't get to where we are having to not be able to get groceries or something. So that's all I'm doing here. Now I'm just going to put everything back and update some more other trackers. So now it's time to update my overview budget sheet. And since my husband was able to put in more than I had anticipated, which is how I like it, I am able to add a couple of $100s to our budgeted amount. And that helps a lot. It helps a little, but it really does help a lot. So what I decide to do here is to look at what I'm calling quote unquote gray areas here. And I just need, for my mind and the way I work, to go to my sheet and write down on a little sticky note which category funds I am referring to. So that way when I go back to the overview sheet and revisit it a little bit later in the month, I know exactly which ones I'm referring to and I don't have to shift through papers. It's just something that I'm thinking will help me in the future. But I know that we really need to apply to some other categories, and some of these categories may not necessarily be ones that we are needing to put money towards this month, but it's at least the general idea. So I probably should have done this in the first place when I did my beginning of the month overview, because of course as I'm adding these up, they are not actually coming out to the 636 that I had originally. And I know when I came up with that number, there was a reason I came up with it, but sometimes when I use this calculator, it doesn't seem to, it doesn't seem to work properly, or I just don't clear it out. I don't know. But the numbers weren't exactly the same, but they were close. And I decide, you know what? I'm just going to figure it out eventually. Or maybe even the next time I revisit my budget overview. So I just wanted to thank you guys for joining me today. I hope that this shows you a little bit of insight as to how I take care of my budget throughout the middle of the month. And honestly, a few times a week is this what I do here. So if you like these kind of videos, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys for the next one. Bye.